Sai Ram. It is said, Hari Anant, Hari Katha Anant. It means God is infinite and endless, and therefore God's stories and Leelas too are infinite and endless. In the Bhagavata Vahini, Swami gives a very apt example. He says that if you sit on a seashore and start counting the waves, the number that you end up with at the end of the day depends on when you started counting and when you stopped counting. That is never the actual number of waves in the ocean, because the actual number of waves in the ocean is infinite. It can never be counted. So too, when we choose to focus on God and when we stop focusing on God is the sum total of the Leelas or experiences with God that we have. In reality, every action, every act, every word, every thought, everything that Swami does is a beautiful Leela and story in itself. Many Leelas of God just go unnoticed because, as Swami says, he does not do them for pradarshana or show off, but for nidarshana, that is, to show the right path. But there are some rare occasions when we are lucky to get a glimpse behind the meaning of these Leelas. I want to share one very, very interesting photograph. This is a photograph that I took during one of the Dasara celebrations at Prashantinilayam. You can see the radiating love of 1,000 mothers in Swami's face as he is showering his benediction and blessings on everyone who has gathered physically, mentally, and even on those that are not even aware of his presence on earth. But then, later on closer scrutiny, I observed something very interesting in this photo. This is that beautiful photograph that I took during the Dasara celebrations. If you take a closer look at Swami's palm in the photograph, you will see that there is something written on his palm. When I observed this, I got very excited. I wondered what it was. But however hard I tried, I could not make out what was written on his palm. It is in blue ink. There are some characters, possibly a mantra, possibly a formula. Whatever it is, God only knows. Literally, God alone knows what it is. But it made me wonder, why is it that Swami is writing something on his hand? Well, why is it that Swami does anything? He does anything out of love for his devotees. It is a Leela. Anything that Swami does is a Leela. That is why Hari Anant, Hari Katha Anant. I do not know the exact reason behind why Swami wrote whatever he wrote on his palm. But I came across an incident that gave me an idea as to what it could possibly be. This is a story that I am borrowing from a book by Professor N. Kasturi. The book is named Sri Sathya Sai Baba, God in Action. This is an incident that possibly happened in the 1970s and 1980s. There was this scientist who was working at ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, at the city of Pune in the state of Maharashtra in India. He was invited for a very prestigious atomic energy conference being held in the capital city of Turkey, Ankara. During that conference, he was invited to the stage to deliver his presentation and talk. He was invited by the president of the conference itself to do the same. He walked to the stage very, very eager to present his amazing findings. And the presentation began. 10 minutes into the presentation, this scientist, this professor realized that there was one important formula that he wanted to present, And for some strange reason, the formula had just erased itself from his mind. He searched his mind furiously. He dug through his brain, but the formula seemed lost. He then quickly dug through his pockets, hoping for that little piece of paper on which he had written the formula. Again, he could not find it. Then he did not know what to do. Briefly, in middle of his talk, he closed his eyes and said, Sai Ram. And how do I know this? I know this because it was narrated in the talk by Professor Kasturi, and he knows this because he read the letter from this scientist to Swami firsthand. Continuing, what happened when he said Sai Ram? He opened his eyes and he saw Sai Ram. Yes, Swami was standing right before him, a gentle smile on his face. And Swami lifted his palm, and on his palm was written that formula. As the professor read out the formula from Swami's palm, he was palpitating with excitement. As soon as the talk concluded, he rushed back to his room and wrote a long letter of gratitude to Swami, the very same letter which Swami gave to Professor Kasturi to read. Now, when I revisit that photograph from that Dasara celebration, I don't know what is written on Swami's palm, but I know for sure that it is evidence of yet another Leela. We may wonder, why is it that Swami has to write on his palm to do the Leela? Can't he just will it? Again, why does Swami do anything that he does? Out of love for us. Leela is for love. No reason for love, no season for love. See, I often wonder, why did Krishna have to go through the lengths of killing different demons and Rakshasas in different styles? With one Rakshasa, with Chanura, Mushtika, he wrestled them to death. With Putana, he sucked the life out of her. With Dhenukasura, he twirled him, turned him around, threw him and killed him. With Aghasura, he grew in size, blocked his mouth and killed him. When it was Kaliya, he danced on the hood of Kaliya and killed him. Subdued him. Why did Krishna have to do all these different varieties of ways to subdue or kill Rakshasas? He could have just willed them dead, right? He did this entire variety so that the devotees have so many Leelas to enjoy and reminisce. So also our dear Swami. Without writing anything on the hand, without even moving a fingertip, can achieve everything in the universe. He need not even take an avatar hood. Why does he have to come down as an avatar? But having come as an avatar, he does everything so that we can relive those memories years later. Relive the Sai Bhagavatam, count the waves of the stories and drink in the sweetness of ambrosial nectar. Let us extend our gratitude to Swami for having given us so many Leelas, and let us always remember that whatever Swami has done, whatever Swami continues to do, and whatever Swami will do, all is out of love for us, and each one is a beautiful Leela in itself. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.